we're going to talk about some of the benefits of fish oil. Fish oil is an omega-3 fatty acid. We'll talk about what that means, how to use it, good places in your diet, some of the known benefits or in the known side effects that your doctor or you're not going to see typically on YouTube and on podcasts. I'm going to be kind of going into the nitty gritty mechanisms of that, and we'll dive into it today. All right. So first off, before we dive in, do you need fish oil? So I typically recommend get 4 to 5 servings of fish a week. It could be wild Alaskan sockeye. It could be, some of the flash frozen stuff that you see at Costco. It's pretty good because it's flash frozen and it's wild caught. That's good. You can do Vital Farms is another good option too. Flash frozen is great unless you live by the coast where you can get it, pretty fresh that day. It's a great option for it. I always cook it with a good fatty acid, like a good butter or coconut oil or tallow. Usually bake it at 350, 375, 20, 25 minutes is usually pretty good. But that's a good source of omega-3s. If you're not getting that, 4 or 5 times a week, then you definitely want to be supplementing it. So when we use fish oil, we want to use a good, clean, smaller fish, sardines, anchovies. These are going to be great sources, and we want to get it filtered out, really have a good, sources of it. We want it molecularly distilled. We want to make sure there's no impurities, mercury, any pesticides, any junk in the water, especially if you're getting it from factory farm type of, fish. They have like these little fish nets where they have little farms of fish and they feed them a bunch of unnatural diet. They even inject dye in there because there's no omega-3. The omega-3 gives that salmon that pink color. And so if they're not getting the omega-3 from the algae and from the actual environment, it gets gray. They actually have to color them and dye them. So you want to have good omega-3 in the fish from fish being more wild, actually getting natural foods. That's a big deal. Plus, they don't get antibiotics and a bunch of GMOs either. So you want to make sure wild Alaskan cod is great, or any of the flash frozen stuff. There's some decent stuff at Costco, Vital Farms, good online stuff there, or your local butcher that would have something more fresh is great. When I go out to eat, usually the best thing I'll get is like something on the seafood side because it's hard to do seafood good, right? It's really hard to do it good. All right, so supplement-wise, we'll talk about some of the mechanisms. So in my line, we have a product called Omega-3 Supreme. We choose good sources. It's going to be clean. It's not going to be oxidized. We'll add an antioxidant in there to stable it. Sometimes we'll add lipase into the products to make sure they can be broken down and digested well. So let me go over some of the mechanisms here. Let's go dive into it, guys. All right, here. So reducing inflammation at the root. This is a key one. So it replaces inflammatory pro-fatty acids. So arachidonic acid is an omega-6 fatty acid. You'll get this from meat and things like that, right? Steak, grass-fed beef, but you'll get less of it when it's grass-fed because you'll get a lot more GLA fatty acid. You'll actually get more omega-3 in your steak, in your meat when it's grass-fed because of the grains are going to have more of that arachidonic, which is omega-6.